Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jabba, sweet and hot. Whoop, Mr. Motorama, coffee spot.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 10, double digits, of Fueled by Deathcast. I am the incredible Jeff.
And I am the amazing D-Man.
And we have one hell of a show for you this week. First of all, as always, you can find us right on deathwishcoffee.com/deathcast. We're also on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Music, most of your podcast apps on your smartphone, and now on YouTube.
Yeah, we're pretty much everywhere, but don't forget, if you subscribe on iTunes and comment and rate us, you can enter a chance to win my mug collection. And this month we have the Valentine's Day mug from last year, number 42, and we're giving that away. And we'll post some pictures of that. Also, I need pictures for myself to help remembering the mug that I'm letting go. I'm very sad about it, but I'm more happy to just provide you guys with what you want, and that is awesome mugs. So.
That's true, and we're going to announce the winner on the February 23rd show. It's the last show of February. We're going to announce the winner, and all you have to do to enter is leave us a review on iTunes, because therefore we'll see your username and we'll be able to choose the winner. Also, shout out, as always, to the incredible Brock Powell, BrockVox.com. He is the man with the a million voices that you hear on this podcast and on all sorts of other cool projects that he's doing. I know some secret stuff that I can't talk about, but
I'll talk about it right now. You ready? Ready? He gets it all done with Death Wish Coffee too. We're always sending him out more stuff, and man, it's what fuels Brock for sure.
Oh yeah. Also in the news, just so you know, we are bringing Fueled by Deathcast on the road. We are going to be appearing live at New York City Podfest this year. That is the weekend, April 7th through 9th. Our show is April 9th. If you go on over to nycpodfest.com, you can see all the different tickets for the different shows. There are some incredible podcasts this year that we get to share the stage with. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't even know what to expect, so I'm just keeping it mellow and just go with it. I don't know. We're on the stage, man. That's pretty nuts.
It's gonna be fun.
I don't think I've ever done a live podcast. It's a bit strange.
It'll be an experience.
I'm ready to blast the whole crowd with hot Death Wish coffee.
Speaking of going on the road, though, we actually just came back from our really crazy excursion to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, to watch the groundhog on Groundhog Day.
And if you haven't listened to that podcast yet, that's also up everywhere.
Groundhog Day Spectacular.
And we definitely caught the beating heart of what is going on in that little town of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a wild ride. I went down there with the hope that I could talk to at least one of the fabled inner circle, the men in the top hats that preside over the entire festivities, and we actually got to talk to 4 of them on that podcast, and it was a crazy adventure. We also went down with Mike Brown and John Swedish, and like Dustin said, go and check out that episode. It's a short little mini podcast of our exploits down during Groundhog Day.
And if you're a fan of the movie at all, you just have to listen to it a little bit, because that's pretty much why we went there.
Yes.
You know, we all loved the movie, and we wanted to see what it was all about. And man, we got what we asked for.
We sure did.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
So if you type in the discount code of Ming, M-I-N-G, you get 20% off of the Death Wish Cherry Java Bark that was just released. So we want to make sure that you get this for Valentine's Day so you can give it to your lover or your family or whoever you like to give chocolate on Valentine's Day.
And if you're listening to this when this episode comes out, February 9th, if to be safe, if you order anything at least by February 10th, you should get it in the mail, hopefully around Valentine's Day. And again, that code is Ming, because we will be talking to Ming Chen later on in this episode from AMC's Comic Book Men, and he is such a sweetheart, we figured why not give you a discount for some delicious chocolate.
Science!
I'm ready, Jeff. I steeled myself
Uh-huh.
to be able to take on the vast, crazy science knowledge that you're just about to lay on to me. I'm ready.
Well, the last couple weeks we've been going molecular, we've been going coffee, we've been doing all sorts of stuff, but we're going back to one of our favorite avenues of science this week.
Oh no, we're going back to space.
We're
aren't
going
we?
back to space.
Man.
Just this week, we've gotten some incredible images, thanks to NASA, from the Cassini spacecraft. Now, if you don't know about the Cassini it's basically a probe that we sent out in 1997. It was 2 parts that we assembled in our upper atmosphere and then rocketed towards Saturn. And it arrived at Saturn in 2004, and it has been orbiting Saturn ever since. And it's been sending us back for the last 13 years some of the most incredible photography we've ever gotten of that planet. And what's interesting is it's now on its final legs of its suicide run. It is orbiting the poles for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years. It's been orbiting the equator, but now it's orbiting the poles, and we're getting some new imagery of the rings that we've never seen in this resolution and also this close up. And it's really interesting because what we're starting to find out is there are actual moonlets, or what NASA's calling almost propellers, that are in the rings themselves that are disturbing the rings. Kind of think like a record and the way that the grooves work in the record. And if you were to kind of scratch that record, you would dissipate those grooves. And that's what these moonlets are doing in the rings.
Are you saying Saturn is a giant vinyl disc?
Yes.
That is crazy, Jeff. I wonder what music it would play.
Grandmaster Flash.
Nah, Zeppelin, dude.
But basically, they're embedded in Saturn's A ring, which is the outermost ring of the planet's, huge ring system. But we're getting images of that, and we're also getting images, really detailed images of the B ring, which is the next innermost ring. And we're seeing not only are these moonlets creating little ripples and waves, but some of Saturn's actual moons are pass through the rings in their orbit.
Oh, weird.
So that just doesn't disturb it in a normal pattern like we once thought. It actually disturbs the entirety of the ring. It has a ripple effect for the entirety of the ring.
Weird.
And so think about it like this. Like, some of Saturn's moons are the size of our moon, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit bigger. These moonlets are about the size of a football field. That's about how big they are. We don't even have them on
They're
film
just
yet.
like spinning shit in the rings?
Right, and
That's
the
crazy.
rings are all made up of just dust and particles and stuff, and little tiny rocks and stuff like that. But we're actually seeing these moonlets gather mass, so it's starting to show us and NASA how planets are formed. Because this is how we have theorized that planets are actually formed, and we're starting to see, these little moonlets actually grow larger because of their time spent in the rings.
Oh, weird.
It's really, really
so wait,
neat.
is it like, are you telling me that they have a theory that the rings of Saturn or the rings of any planet could be a birthing place for other planets?
Correct.
That is so weird.
What they're saying is the theory could be that, Saturn, take a planet like Saturn that has rings. Those rings could coalesce into moons, or maybe even eventually planets that would break off from the gravity of the main planet Saturn and then become its own planet. And then we're talking,
So maybe
millions and millions of years. But
Maybe
I
the
mean,
moons around Saturn came from its rings to
Correct.
begin with?
Correct. Yeah. It's pretty neat. And as I said, Cassini now is in the last 2 phases of its final orbit. It's orbiting the polar areas of Saturn right now, and then it's actually going to be the first spacecraft ever that's going to pass in between the rings and the planet, and then it is going to eventually just crash into the planet.
How does it not get slammed into in the rings by one of these football-sized propellers?
Because we control it. We can still control its propulsion and that kind of stuff. And
Whoa.
Yeah, it's all
and
math.
We can time that shit? That's crazy,
well,
man.
We're getting better at timing it, because if you go back a couple episodes to one of our other science segments, the new clock, deep space clock that we put out there, atomic clock, is actually helping us to make these calculations even more precise and allow us to control these deep space missions even better.
Mind blown.
Yeah. And we'll keep talking about this as this goes, because I'm very excited to see later when it does finally crash into Saturn. We're going to get some incredible photographs and also some good readings of what Saturn is all about.
What fuels you?
This week, like I said, we get to talk to the incredibly awesome Ming Chen, and Ming has had a really strange and awesome career track. You know, he went from being just a fan of a very unknown underground movie called Clerks to basically being Kevin Smith's right-hand man.
Yeah, but the thing about Ming is that he wanted to be like the best. He
Yes.
wanted to have the best fan page.
Yes.
With like things that no other fan page offered, which is cool. I think that's a good mindset to have, and you know, he really carved himself his own path. He saw what he wanted. He saw something that he truly loved and just worked for it.
Yeah, and you know, and that I think really is something that should fuel us all in life. Is like there's obviously career tracks. Like you want to go to school to be a doctor. You know, you have to go to all those different classes. You have to get good grades. You have to apply yourself to do it, and you become a doctor. And I'm not saying like there's a difference between that and striking out on your own path, but even in a set way, you have to find a way to make it your own, to make what you want, to fuel your passion and make it exactly how you want it to play out, you know? And that's what's inspiring about somebody like Ming is like you said, he just wanted to start a fan page and make it the best he possibly could. And then, as you'll hear, that just led him on this path to really carving out his own job that didn't even exist before.
Yeah.
You know, now he's a reality television star, and he is a movie star. He's been in a couple movies. He's a podcast hero. I mean, and it's just really cool. And like I said, I get inspired by that, and I try to do that in my own way. I mean, Dustin and I have talked on this podcast a couple times. We are musicians, and that's something that we do even in the music world. You know, you try to set out and create a song that's never been created before, or a type of music that's never been created before. Same thing with our podcast. You know, this didn't exist. You said this on an earlier podcast before. We sat down to create this thing that never existed before, and now it's in the universe. And we kind of, tailored that path to make that happen.
Yeah, and to bring it back to the music thing, I mean, personally, I remember specifically a point in my life when I was like, I want to be able to like sing in a band, but I didn't really even have that great of a voice.
Right.
And pretty much led me down to the path to be like, okay, I'm just going to start my own band, even if I'm not good at it. If I keep on doing it over time, I'll be okay at it. And I'd like to think that happened, and it was something that I worked for, and people were like, oh yeah, how do you do it? Well, I couldn't at first.
Right.
You know, I carved that path through time, blood, sweat, and tears. And it's the same thing with Ming, is that it's not like he was amazing at podcasting at first. He put the time in to be good at this, to be exemplary behind the mic, and now he is. He's awesome.
Right. And again, going right back to just wake up in the morning, get fueled by your passion, and just fuel your path to get out there and do what you want to do.
Yeah. So think about it. If there's something that you want, put the work in, and you'll get it.
Totally.
I mean, just set your mind to it and do it, and just go for it, and it'll work out eventually. Like, just don't give up.
Yeah.
Just carve that path, man.
Be inspired. It's awesome. And speaking of inspiration, we're going to do our brand new segment, our community shout out, where we shout out one of you out there who inspires us, because you are such a super fan and you just love the company of Death Wish Coffee and also our podcast, Fueled by Deathcast. And this week, we're going to shout out somebody pretty special.
Yeah, and it's somebody who is always supported what this company and what personally Jeff and I have done. And Steve Mayhew, we love you very deeply. You're always there. You're always backing us up, man.
Stephen Mayhew with a P, PH, not the V. You've just been there for this company. You're always out there telling people about Death Wish Coffee. You're always, spreading the good word. And like Dustin said, you've also been spreading the good word about what Dustin and I have done, with podcasting. And I mean, I'm looking at you just on Facebook. You've had our logo as your profile picture, I think, since we started this podcast, and that honestly touches me.
And you're always giving us words of encouragement and giving us feedback, and that helps Jeff and I to produce a better podcast for all of the fans and all of the community. And man, we can't thank you enough for that, because we take that to heart, and it gives us momentum. It gives us hope. We love
really
doing
does.
this.
And we see you do it for everybody in that community too. You know, you're always out there helping people out, telling them all about what Death Wish Coffee is doing and how you can help them get mugs and coffee and the whole nine. So
Stephen Mayhew, this is a salute to you, sir.
yes.
The Death Wish Death List.
All right. This week, we lost Dan Spiegel. He was 96 years old. He was a famed comic book artist and a cartoon artist. A little bit of history about him. He joined the Navy after high school, and he actually worked for the base newspaper, but also he was one of the artists that drew the insignias on the airplanes until he was discharged in 1946. And you know what I'm talking about, like on the bombers when you'd see like the cool like pinup girls and stuff.
Yeah.
He was drawing that
They
kind of
all
stuff.
look like sharks and stuff like
yeah.
that.
So he was doing that kind of thing. And then after that, he went to school on the GI Bill and graduated as an artist. And he started drawing Western comics in the 50s, like Spin and Marty from the Mickey Mouse Club and those types of comics. And then he went on in the 60s to do a lot of different TV comic adaptations, like Lost in Space, The Green Hornet. And then he worked for Marvel and DC and some other companies. And he really did a lot for television translation into comics. So he did a lot for Scooby-Doo, he did a lot for Batman, Crossfire, and even recently he was working on Simpsons comics. He won the coveted Inkpot Award in 1983, and he was celebrated by many artists in the industry. And we lost him. We also lost Richard Portman. He was 82 years old. He was one of the unsung heroes of Hollywood. He was a sound engineer, and he was nominated for 10 Oscars in his career, and that includes being the sound engineer on films such as The Godfather, Young Frankenstein, On Golden Pond, just to name a few.
Yeah, and you think about those movies, you think about The Godfather and
music.
Young Frankenstein. Yeah, that is what it like sets a big part of the movie.
Totally. And he actually did win an Oscar for his work on The Deer Hunter.
Oh, yeah,
the
that was a good
incredible
one.
De Niro walk-in movie with the iconic Russian roulette scene in Vietnam. He worked on 160 films between 1963 and 2004.
Wow.
That's an incredible body of work.
Dude was a hard worker.
He taught at Florida State University for a while, a sound engineer, and unfortunately, he died this week from complications of a fall. But Death wish you a happy birthday this week to actress Laura Dern on February 10th. She'll be 50 years old. You might remember her as the main actress from Jurassic Park, among many other awesome roles she's been in. Also, a happy birthday to Arsenio Hall on February 12th. He'll be 61 years old. And another happy birthday to Mina Savari on February 13th. She'll be 38 years old. You might remember her from such little movies as American Beauty and American Pie. I guess she likes those movies with American in them.
Yeah, maybe she is American.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break and give you this week's update.
D-Man's Death Wish Update. Brought to you by Death Wish Coffee.
What do we have this week, D-Man?
We've got tons of new stuff. So the cold brew has made it out. And I'm sure you're all getting your cold brew. And man, we're really happy to see it out there.
What a success.
Yeah,
You guys all out there made it. It's such a success.
I
for
mean,
us.
it sold out really, really quick. We made as much as we could. And
But don't worry.
Yeah, we're making more. We're refining the process. We're polishing our technique.
Yeah.
And I mean,
this is going to be a normal product. Like this was the rollout that you have all been waiting for so long, and we finally were able to roll it out. But we're working really hard right now to ensure that we're going to be able to have it continually throughout every year.
So expect it soon. I would say, maybe a couple months.
Yeah,
maybe not. I don't know. We're starting to make it. We're starting to make it right now. A second batch. So at the old Saratoga Brewery too.
Yes. I think so. Shout out to them.
Also, this week we have a lot coming out. The Valentine's Day mug with the Teddy Bear mug.
The Teddy Bear
is out.
mug.
And also the Valhalla Java Clean Canteen, the new design is out, which I'm so excited about.
Love that.
That new logo. I mean, I've said it many times on this podcast. It just gets me, man.
And we can't say enough how great the Clean Canteens are, and to be able to rock the Odin Force on it is even better. So you'll be able to get those obviously right now. Also, be on the lookout for the full size 2017 mugs, which will be coming soon and available to all of you. We've been talking about that a little bit on the updates. And you don't have to worry; those will be coming out. But that's our 2017 mug. They're not numbered. There'll be a ton of them.
Yeah, they'll be rolling out all year. We're just getting a good stock of them now, so we can release them all to you, so you can all get your awesome new mugs. So it's kind of cool that we ended up with 2 different sizes, I think.
I think so, too.
And so I think you'll see for a while the short mugs will still be available on Amazon if you want the little itty-bitty one. But, this one will be like the size of the Day of the Dead mug.
Nice.
So full size like that. Also, we're getting some new stuff around headquarters here.
Oh my God! I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we got a new roaster in the house.
It's a beast. Everybody, go on over to Death Wish Coffee on Instagram, and you can actually see a video of the unboxing of this mammoth roaster.
Yeah, this thing is huge. It's twice as big as the roaster that we already have in our house. We're gonna put those things right next to each other in our new warehouse, and it's gonna be roasting delicious Death Wish coffee all day, every day.
I can't wait. We got to put all. It's like we got the coolest model kit, because like the roaster comes in like the one big box, and then there's another big box of all the little pieces, and like we have to like put all the pieces together and like make like the Voltron of awesome roasters. It's going to be pretty great.
If this thing flies away when we're done with it, I'm going to be a little bit upset, Jeff.
Well, that's awesome. And, tune in every week for more Death Wish Coffee Company news.
We now return to Fueled by Deathcast.
This week, we are incredibly excited to talk to a good friend of ours and an incredible human being, Ming Chen.
Yeah, and not only did we get to talk to him, he actually came to headquarters. We gave him a tour. We gave him tons of Death Wish coffee to get him all the way back to New Jersey when he was done here. But, man, we had a blast.
Yeah, Ming Chen, if you do not know, is one of the AMC comic book men. He runs in the inner circle of Kevin Smith and all those guys. And he's just an all-around great dude. You're gonna hear him. You're gonna hear all about it. And we're so happy to talk to him, and we'll be doing more with him in the future for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait.
The Fueled by Death Guest.
How many podcasts do you do right now?
I'm doing 3, occasionally 4. So I ISO Comics, the Ming and Mike show, the Sam and Ming show, which I do with my friend Samantha, and when we're on the air, I do a Comic Book Men companion podcast.
Are you basically the one who's editing all this stuff?
Yeah, or I really don't edit that much.
Yeah, we don't either.
We're getting to the point
we
where,
try not to.
Yeah, I like the philosophy that if it happened, it happened.
Yeah.
If Brian Johnson gets racist, then it happened. Or there was one, it was me, Mike, and he invited his wife on, and we had another guest, and his wife interrupted the other guest, and Mike stopped her and was like, "Whoa, you don't do that." I'll send you the clip. It's hilarious.
That's so funny.
It's great. And people heard that. It's like, "Why'd you leave that in?" I'm like, "Why
because
wouldn't I leave that in?"
Right.
It was a beautiful moment in time.
Why would I leave that in?
You've been podcasting now for a little bit. Like, I mean, obviously because of Kevin and that whole group.
Yeah.
Like, is it when podcasting kind of like started up? Was it something that you immediately kind of like flew towards, or was it something?
No, I had no interest. I knew it was a natural fit for Kevin. He likes to talk.
Yeah, of course.
And if there was a way to get paid talking, he would find it.
That's
There's
true.
a way to get paid to
It's
talk, he
true.
would find it. And he gets paid very handsomely now just to talk. He's got his live Q&As that he goes out and does and makes a ton of money doing.
And he's great at it. He should, you know,
he's a natural.
Yeah.
And then the podcast, if he wants, no restrictions.
Right.
There's no restrictions on podcasting.
It's true.
You can see whatever you want, and that was also natural for him. So I wasn't shocked that he only did one show. He's got like 5 of them now.
Right.
So, but I had no interest. I grew up not talking very much, and I didn't think I had anything to say. But this is what happens when you work with Kevin. He'll just be like, start a podcast about comics, grab Zapsic,
and just do it.
And just do it.
Wow.
And when it comes down from above like that,
right,
all of a sudden you become very good at it very quickly.
Well,
or at least decent.
Well, especially because you're doing it, at least every week or every couple of weeks or whenever you're doing it, and now you're doing 4 shows. So I mean, it's like anything. You're just putting the practice in. You're putting the work.
I don't think there's not too much of a thing. I don't believe in naturals so much. Like, I feel like that's just people who put in the work and they make it seem natural, right? And I think if you do anything enough, you can come off that way too, where it's like, oh, you seem like you've been able to do this your whole life, but it's something that you worked for, and now you have that ability.
Exactly. So even like Eddie Van Halen, he practices guitar for like 14 hours a day.
Right.
Like, why does he sound so good? It's like
because he works for it.
He put the work in.
He literally locks himself in a room and he plays guitar all day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so being on that podcasting end and putting that into your plethora of jobs, like, I kind of know this story, but for our listeners, I think it would be nice to talk about how you even got into working with Kevin Smith and working with that crew, because that obviously you didn't even start out to do podcasting with him.
No.
You were web designing.
Yes.
In the very beginning, right?
Yeah, it's somewhat of an interesting story, and as far as like career paths go, it's not like they went to college, typed up a resume,
right,
sent it out, got hired, that kind of straight and narrow path. I was in college back at the University of Michigan, back around 1995, a year after Clerks came out.
Yep.
And it was snowing out. I was working in a computer lab. I got really bored, decided to start a Clerks fan website. And there were a couple out there already.
Yeah.
But I wanted mine to be the best.
Yeah.
And in order to be the best, I thought, well, I need stuff that these other sites don't have. So I went out and I bought the Laserdisc. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Antique.
I mean, we're talking 95.
Talking 95. And back then, Laserdisc had extra content on them, deleted scenes, commentary, all the stuff that you see comes standard on DVDs now.
Yeah. Or now Blu-rays, because they want you to buy the more expensive version.
Exactly.
But yeah.
So I went and bought the Laserdisc. I ripped off all the deleted scenes. There was a music video that no one had really seen, all this stuff, and I put it all up online on my Clerks site.
Well, there you go.
And it, in my mind, it was the best Clerks site out there. And Kevin saw it one day, and I give him a lot of credit. Most movie companies, when they see that you've ripped off content that people are supposed to pay for, they send you a cease and desist, or they call you, or they threaten you in some manner.
Or you hear from their lawyer.
Yeah, some high-powered lawyers. But he called me directly. He was like, hey, I love what you've done. People are seeing stuff that they would have never been able to see. No one had Laserdisc players back then.
Yeah.
No one was going to go and buy a $40 Laserdisc except like the most hardcore movie fan.
Right, and Clerks was still such an underground film at that time too. I mean, like, unless you were a fan like you, like seeking out that Laserdisc, you're not going to find that content anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, I love what you've done. I just wrapped Mallrats. I'm going into production on a movie called Chasing Amy. Would you like to create a website for my production company? I'm thinking this internet thing looks like it's going to take off, and I want to be at the forefront of it. So he gave me a whole list of stuff that he wanted on the website, the like an about section, filmography for all the movies that he did, and more importantly, he wanted a chat room. He wanted a way to interact with his fans directly. And I suggested, instead of a chat room where he would probably have to schedule some time out of his week or whatever, to sit there and chat with people, I was like, how about why don't we just put up a message board? People can ask questions. You can go answer as many as you want at your leisure. Leave, come back. There'll be more questions. It'll be a lot easier for you. And that's what I did. And I think that this was way before Twitter.
Yeah.
There was no Facebook. There was no
Reddit.
Reddit. Yeah. There was no
Friendster.
Yeah.
Was that the one?
Yeah. Friendster. Preceded all of that. There was even no Friendster or MySpace.
Yeah.
There was no way for anyone that you admired, maybe in the Hollywood system, or anyone famous even, to interact directly with the fan.
Right.
It was just forums at best.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And even then, most of them had no idea. Most of them had no idea what the internet was. So Kevin's always been one step ahead of everybody else. And so I set up a message board, and it became pretty popular. And I think that kind of put him at the forefront of just direct fandom with people.
Right.
Yeah, now everybody does it. Now,
Oh yeah.
then you go on Twitter and
Twitter,
you can get into an argument with a person you once admired.
Totally.
Like you
Daily,
get into a
it
war
was
with
so
them.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go and argue with the president of the United States now, and
Unfortunately,
he'll
but
come
yes.
back at you.
By the way, more people are subscribing to Twitter in like the last
I know.
like 2 years. I
know.
think that the uptick is incredible
Yeah.
now because everybody's like, oh, what's our president going to say next?
Right.
It is incredible to think about it though. Back in '95, when you're creating
Yeah.
this, and like there's no bastion for that, and
No.
like how much of a rare gem it's got to be for someone to go on that message board and be like, oh my god, I can actually have my question answered by Kevin Smith.
Right.
Like that's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, it was cool. So all his fans would hang out on there. Kevin would come pretty much daily. Sometimes spend hours on there answering people's questions. It was pretty cool. But when he saw that Clerk site where I ripped off all this, like he called me directly.
That's
How
incredible.
bizarre was that?
It was a bizarre call.
Was
He
it
had-
like, is this really Kevin Smith on the phone?
Yeah,
that
there
I'm
was
talking
that,
to?
and then one time he was like, "Hey, call me tomorrow." He gave me the office number. I called, and the guy at the other end picking up the phone picks up and was like, "Hello." I'm like, "Hi, is Kevin there?" He's not here right now. Can I take a message? So I gave my number and all that. I hang up and I was like, that sounded like Jason Mewes, like Jay from Clerks, like of Jay and Silent Bob fame. And sure enough, it was him. For whatever reason,
Just waking up that
for
day.
whatever reason that day, they made him receptionist at the office.
That's
So.
hilarious.
the only day that Jason Mewes has ever been the receptionist.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm sure that didn't last too long. So yeah, that went from there. Kevin asked to created the Viewskew universe,
Yep.
viewskew.com website, and that started working from full time afterwards, doing graphic design, websites, event flyers, merchandise creation, pretty much anything else they wanted me to do. That expanded into like event planning,
Yeah.
and like all kinds of weird stuff. But later on, that led to podcasting, and the podcasting led to a TV show
TV show,
on
yeah.
AMC after The Walking Dead.
That's-
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Has your life changed going from a guy who generally works behind the scenes? You know, you're someone, I mean, outside of the podcasting, but, you know, you're someone who's creating the events for Kevin. You're setting up his,
Right.
the web kind of angle, to now you're a reality television star. Like, has your life like changed for the good or the bad because of that?
It hasn't changed significantly. I think the one thing that's changed is I get invited to a lot of comic book conventions now as a guest, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Just coming from the pop culture, comic book, Star Wars, Aliens, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter fandom world. And, back in the day where I would go to small Comic-Cons in church basements and stuff like that,
Yeah.
to the world of Comic-Cons now, which I also attended before Comic Book Men started. Now I'm at the other side of the table.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Just being on the other side and being invited to different cons around the country. You get more access, and you can come early and wander the show floor early. But just as a fan, it's mind blowing. It's just it's so much fun.
And you can always tell that you are a fan. Like, for anybody out there who does not follow Ming Chen on any of your social media, please do follow you, because you post constantly and you're always posting really cool stuff, because you do get to go everywhere. Do you know what your schedule was like even last year? How many cons did you do last year?
Last year I went to 34. I went to
That's
34
wow.
conventions. Most of them as a guest. Some of them I went for fun. Some of them I went to I saw the guest list there, and there was I went to one in the Wizard World of Philadelphia. Had like pretty much all the Avengers were there. Chris Evans, Chris
Awesome.
Hemsworth, Tom
Oh,
Hiddleston.
man.
They had Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox was there.
Do you have the connections to like, hey, I'm coming, can I meet these guys? Do you have that kind of pull?
It depends on the convention and who's
Right,
running it and
right.
who happens to be there. Or sometimes I'll just show up like, oh, hey, the more conventions you go to, the more friends you make.
Yeah, yep.
And through those friends, one may be an agent for one of the celebrity guests there. And, you may have gone drinking with them at the hotel bar at some con a couple months ago, and they'll remember you. And, they'll let you come in for a little bit.
Right.
I think the last one where that really worked out, I met a dude at a con, and we became friends, started talking. He turned out to be the agent for Gal Gadot, the new Wonder Woman.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
And she happened to be at the Rhode Island Comic Con. Now, you put Gal Gadot in the middle of 50, 60,000 fans. Of course, she's going to request security.
Totally.
Yeah.
So she's of Israeli descent. She had a dozen Israeli security guards around her. Like, these guys don't mess around. They
Not
know
at all. Nope.
They know that Krav Maga.
Yep.
They've
They're-
all killed people.
Yeah, they're
Oh, yeah.
probably ex-Mossad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, she was surrounded, but I just seen him. I was like, hey, man, I'd love to meet her if she has time. And he's like, she's kind of chilling out now, but when she goes and takes photos with people, I'll stop the line, you can slip in.
Yeah.
No big deal. And I was with Mike Zapsik was there too. So I'm like, dude, we're in. We had a photo with her. So we go to the photo area. We're waiting for her. And for reasons that he still hasn't explained to me yet, Mike decides he's like, I got to go. And I'm like, no, we're in, man. I gotta
somebody?
sing. We don't you want a picture with Gal? Wonder Woman? He's like, no, I got something I got to do. I'm like, all right, no problem. So he goes and leaves. I get my picture. Later on, I find out wherever he's going to, he's going down the hall. Gal Gadot and the security details coming the other way, and they basically just shove him aside. And they're like, out of the way, sir. Like, important cargo coming through.
Oh my
And
God.
I was just like, dude, you had it. You
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah.
Why did you? I still don't know why he left. He had some other commitment to do.
He was
so.
scared of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only explanation,
Yeah.
right? He's scared of strong women
Yeah.
or women in general. I'm not really sure. So, yeah.
Oh man, well that's cool though. I mean, like it's not a superstardom. I mean, AMC Comic Book Men is such a fun show, and it's one of the few reality television shows out there that isn't so reality television. I guess
I like it. I truly
Yeah.
get to be myself.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
It's not
Like-
negative. It's
Yeah.
it's always fun. It's always like a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the other reality shows, people are punching each other.
Right.
They're getting
Starting
drunk.
fights.
They're crying.
Yeah.
Like, as of yet, I'm not. Maybe in the future, or maybe, but I have not shed any tears yet. And if you watch the show, I get made fun of a lot.
You do. You are the
I
whipping
should be
boy.
shedding tears.
You are the whipping boy for sure.
Should be crying, but I haven't been pulled aside with a single camera, and I'm like, no, why is Brian Johnson so mean to me? Yeah, it hasn't
Although, speaking of MTV, if you are listening, Real World Comic Book Men is a great idea. Patent pending. Get a hold of me.
If
Hashtag copyright.
it would be interesting to throw not all four of us, but all five of us in a house.
Yes.
With Kevin.
Yeah, with Kevin.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
That's crazy.
That could be interesting.
Is it hard with all of the different hats you wear to juggle all the different jobs you do with all of your travel schedule?
I think you can manage it.
Yeah.
Anything design wise or whatever you can do on the road,
Mm-hmm.
as long as there's an internet connection somewhere.
That's
so,
true.
And you just kind of tackle it as it comes. So I mean, there are times at a con you just want to go and have fun for the whole weekend.
Right.
Or whatever, but it's not crazy, and podcasting, as you know, is something we truly look forward to
Totally.
doing.
Yeah.
Totally.
This is like it's like the Super Bowl every day. We get to
Yep.
sit behind a microphone.
It's my favorite thing every week.
I mean, it drives interesting conversation. I feel like even people that we've gotten to sit down with that we know,
Yeah.
it gives us the chance to ask the questions we've always thought,
Right.
but never had the platform to ask it without seeming like weird.
Yeah, yeah. You fire up the mics.
Yeah.
You hit the record button. You can ask anything.
Yeah.
And most people, I don't know, it just opens you up for whatever reason. That microphone in front of your face
It's so
just
true.
opens you up,
So-
and I love it.
With your love of podcasting, your love of the culture, and all the travel you do, all the work that you put in, what fuels you to keep going every day? Well, you get up. One thing that I notice about you is that wherever you go, wherever you're showing up at it, and whatever con or whatever appearance you have to do, you're always happy to be there. You're always on point and like energetic about it. What fuels you to keep doing that? To keep getting out there?
I love that question. It's so great. I have a couple of things. One, and it's something that you guys discuss, and it's kind of the heart of this podcast, is that life is short. You only have a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think they're never going to die. Or
Right.
they're invincible, or that's why they do such stupid things all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to fill all those moments with something fun, something that I want to do.
Yeah.
Why waste your time doing stuff that you don't want to do, or that you hate, or going to a job that you dislike, or just being stuck in situations that that you hate.
Yeah.
So if it it's an old saying, but if it's not fun, I don't want to be doing it.
It's a great outlook though
Yeah,
too.
and I know it's not possible 24/7.
Yeah.
But if it can be like 23/6 or
Yeah.
or you fill 90% of the time of stuff that you really love and that you're doing something that you're passionate about, that's the way to live life.
I think that comes with being like present in the moment. You're in this moment, and it's like, what can I do to make this moment the best moment?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get caught up in thinking about like, what's next? What's tomorrow? Or what am I going to do in a week?
Right.
And they get caught up in that, and they stop thinking about what they're doing right now and how to make that better instead of like next week.
Yeah, there's that feeling. Even like this morning, before I was driving up, I was excited to do this. You have that feeling, or that feeling you have before you go on vacation, or before you travel, and you can't sleep the night before.
Yeah,
and that anticipation, like I want to be feeling that all the time.
That's awesome.
Now, that's it's not possible 24/7.
No.
But it's definitely something. A lot of people are like, oh, I'd love to go to Italy one day. Well, you might have to save some money and all that, but go do it. Like, you'll be much happier for it.
Totally. I mean, again, bringing it back full circle to Kevin, that's one of his tenets too, is that, if you want to do something, just do it.
Yeah.
Just go do it. That's what he did. Like, he was like, I want to make movies, so I started to make movies.
Yeah.
Like, same thing. And it's like,
you'll make mistakes and you'll fail, but you did it instead of just sitting there thinking about it.
And that's
how
really
this
cool.
company was built.
The Death Wish Coffee, totally.
With Mike, he used to be an accountant.
Yeah.
And he used to work at the comptroller office, and he got sick of that. He got sick of that world, and then outsprouted Death Wish Coffee because it was like, let's take a chance. Let's get it out there, and here we are now.
Yeah.
Sitting with you within a podcast for the company. It's crazy.
I love it. Everyone from Death Wish to Super Bowl commercial. Like, how can we top this? Let's start a podcast.
Right?
That way, this is even better than the Super Bowl.
Oh, you heard that. You heard that. That's our first little press quote right there. Better than the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Fueled by Deathcast, better than the Super Bowl.
I love it.
Especially this year's. So
I love it. So I'm sure this goes without saying, but were you as a kid, were you into all of this culture, or was this something that you kind of found in college, or like? And by this culture, I mean we used to call it the underground counterculture, but now it is if you don't like superheroes and
it's geek pop culture,
geek stuff. It's like you're not cool.
Yeah, I think like most kids, especially now, every kid grows up, I think, loving comic books. Even if they don't read the comic books, they're wearing Spider-Man shoes.
Totally.
They're wearing a Captain America shirt, or they're wearing they have a lightsaber somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if they're not really into it, and I think that's cool. But yeah, growing up, comics were not huge, but not small either. I was given my first comic when I was 6 years old.
What was it?
Avengers 214.
Okay.
Some kid in school gave it to me. I guess he had an extra copy, or he thought it was cool or whatever. And I read that thing cover to cover, including all the Hostess Fruit Pie commercials.
Oh yeah, the ads and stuff.
And the commercials for the upcoming cartoons on Saturday morning. And then on the cover you have Ghost Rider, or you have Iron Man being taken down by the Ghost Rider, and Cap's in the background with Tigra. They're looking really worried, and as a 6-year-old, like what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
This is like unlike anything I've seen. And then you read it, and it's really awesome, and you want to keep going. So that was my first taste.
That's so
cool. And then,
cool.
At 4, obviously, I saw Star Wars when I was 4. And, all the Star Wars movies definitely shaped my life as they did everybody else's. Sci-fi, and I grew up mainly in the 80s. So all that, we had Thundercats, we had Transformers, we had G.I. Joe, like all this stuff that
it's coming back now.
Yeah, I know.
It's great. All us 80s kids get to have our childhood again as adults, and it's nice.
Yeah, but there's all this stuff for kids that they put so much thought into.
Totally.
And was just so good. And it was easy to that fueled that passion for collecting and looking deeper into storylines and things like that. So I mean those things definitely started me off on this path to loving pop culture and comics and just these cool properties.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And it just kept going. I fell in and out. I started playing baseball, or I don't collect comics that much. College, supposed to be studying.
Mm-hmm.
I got into other things, but near the end of college, as I was about to
other things.
Yeah.
air
quotes.
other
There we go,
things.
there we
Yes. Near the end of college, as I was winding down, I got back into comics. This was about 96, 97 when Image was formed.
Yep.
There was Spawn, and there were more adult comics, like Preacher, and Spawn and things like that. And I went into this comic book store that had recently opened up, and I went in. And I'm like, "Where's the Spider-Man and the Superman?" I was like, "Oh man, we don't have any of that, but we have independent stuff and we have Image. Like, if you want that stuff, you can go down the street. There's no."
Wow.
But this is the stuff that we're really into, and we think you'll be really into it too. So they suggest me a bunch of titles, and that got me way back into comics. So that's the point where I never stopped from there until now.
That's so cool.
And that little comic store that didn't carry DC and Marvel, they're one of the biggest stores in Michigan now. Where
Oh,
I grew
wow.
up, yeah.
Very cool.
They do carry DC and Marvel
Yeah,
now.
oh, I'm sure they do now. Yeah.
They did that, but they wanted to just carry stuff that they loved, and it worked out. Like, they have 3 stores now. It worked out way well for them. So.
I think passion, when you really apply it well, works out. No matter what you're doing. I think that's why podcasting has become a thing, because so many people are passionate about it. And radio sucks now. I think that's why podcasting became a thing.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, isn't podcasting great? You can do whatever you want. You say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can do it whenever you want.
Yeah.
No restrictions.
It's very freeing, and it's a lot of fun.
And technology has made it so it's so mobile.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about podcasting is that the technology has like gone past like the laws and like what do I want to say, like censorship.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like we don't have to deal with any of that,
No.
which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's free. It's America, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool that you're able to tie it back into your profession. Which is very progressive, by the way. But we both work with people who have seen the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Who see the benefit in all of this. So
I mean, and like you kind of touched on before, it was born by the idea of the same thing that this company was born from, is just to go out there and give it a shot. And Mike wanted to see what a podcast would do, and when Dustin and I decided to craft it, Deathwish had already been talking on different themes, and one of their hashtags is Fueled by Death, and that seemed to be just a great fit of what everybody can talk about, because no matter who you are, you do something that you like, whether you get paid for it or not.
Right.
You do. There's something in your life that you can't wait to do again, and you can't wait for that time in the week when you get to do it.
Right.
And
Besides eating,
even that though, I mean, but I mean, and it all stems back to the fact that you're doing that because one day you're going to leave this rock. You're going, you are going to die, and as morbid as that sounds, it should be that should fuel your passion to do the thing that you love to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, what better way than to talk it out with people? That's kind of how that started, which is really nice.
Yeah, and it's even better if you do it with people you know and love.
Oh,
too.
totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So much more fun.
Totally. Are there any moments now? I mean, you've had this odd track in your life where, like you said, like you didn't go to college to be, the web designer for Kevin Smith,
Right.
or anything, and it's just kind of
or
everything.
did you?
Everything's just kind of like fallen into place for you, and parallel with your life's track, the culture of geek and nerd, has completely become mainstream now. So it is, helped out what Kevin does, what you do, and what all that kind of stuff does. Has it been this organic rise where you haven't really felt it, or are there times in your life where you still get the feeling of, I can't believe I'm doing this or being here or being a part of this?
With phrasing it like that, some little Chinese kid from Michigan, like winding up on a reality show on AMC. That's absurd. Where
Surreal. Yeah.
Where we're about to air the second half of our 6th season in a couple weeks, and you think back to shows like Firefly, or even 6'6" Batman, or the original Star Trek. Those neither of those made it 6 seasons.
Not even close. Yeah.
A lot of shows don't make it that long. So those are shows that. Listen, I know what our show is. It's not better than Firefly. Firefly is a great show.
It is a great show.
And it should have gone...
You're speaking my language.
It should still be on now. I mean, that's a shiny show. But
yes.
And one day it will come back.
Yeah.
Mark my words.
Totally.
But so that's absurd that, you see us we're 4 ugly dudes from New Jersey And I won't go Kevin. Kevin's a good-looking dude, but four ugly dudes from New Jersey arguing about the flux capacitors and the first appearance of Elektra and Captain Marvel, stuff like that. And people watch it and love it, and they're still doing it. That's absurd. That I didn't.
And you
see
follow
coming.
one of the highest rated television shows on television now.
That part I didn't see coming. Now the geek stuff, you probably went through the same thing I did in high school. I knew my class about 400 people.
Mm-hmm.
I knew 2 people who loved comics.
Yeah,
and even then it was a struggle to discover them. There was when you were a fan back then, you didn't advertise it. No one wore Star Wars shirts. No one wore Marvel shirts.
Yep.
No one wore a Green Lantern ring or a Shield ring or whatever.
Yeah.
You just didn't. It wasn't cool.
No.
So I was in school. I found a kid. He had a X-Men comic hanging out of his backpack. I was like, holy crap! Like, did you, where, why?
Yeah.
Like, why? How did this happen?
Can we be friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found out he loved Wolverine, and I went over to his house to play video games one day, and he had a Wolverine like a page stuck up on his closet, and I'm like, this kid's cool. Like, I want to be friends.
Yeah.
And then I met his other friends. So we were the ones that would go and play D&D and Warhammer and play the original 8-bit NES all day.
Yeah.
But you didn't advertise it. You for fear of getting made fun of, or some people got beat up or chased around. It sounds absurd now, but and then now everyone's wearing Star Wars shirts.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that stuck, I remember the first time I saw a girl wearing a Star Wars shirt. It's like, holy crap! Do you want to get married? It was awesome.
Yeah.
And now tons of girls, and they look great. They look great in them.
Now finally we've got Star Wars movies that the main character is a girl.
female.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. They did such a good job with that too.
And they're great. But it took time though. It took
Totally.
that was 20, 25 years ago from there until now where everybody's into it. Now a lot of people are like, what's it feel like that comic book movies and sci-fi is cool? What's it feel that they're cool now? I'm like, cool now? They've always been cool.
Always been cool.
It's like, we knew this.
Yeah.
We knew.
You guys are the ones that are catching
up.
up.
You guys were asleep.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
You guys were asleep.
Totally.
You guys are the ones that finally woke up. Like, what? Don't look at me. Like,
Right. I say the same thing.
I knew. Like, you can go back and look at old Polaroids of me, and I got, I'm wearing a Han Solo shirt. Like, where were you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. Not only does it fuel revenue at, say, places like Jane Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
Right.
We get cool movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man and Doctor Strange. And a Luke Cage TV show, and the freaking Defenders.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, who would have ever thought?
No.
Like, crazy.
No, and
Crazy.
then everybody else is into it too. So
Yeah.
I say the more the merrier. I used to go to Comic-Cons because I knew I would find like-minded people there.
Yeah.
And they were small back then. And now you can go to New York Comic-Con where there's 150,000 like-minded people.
Yeah.
And you can quote Star Wars and no one looks at you funny. It's great.
How much do you think the Disney machine fueled that?
I don't think it was that much. I think you can kind of see the rise of the Marvel movie through Blade, which came out in a while ago.
98.
Yeah, 98.
I want to say. Yeah.
98 was that's when some suit woke up and was
Yeah.
like, well, why don't we just make this cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we stop trying to sell toys and dumbing it down?
Right.
And
Let's just make an R-rated superhero movie.
Yeah. We'll throw blood on everybody
Yeah.
and and it worked.
It totally did.
It was really good.
Yeah. But I mean, before that, I get a lot of kids going, even Batman, Superman, all right, maybe it wasn't that great, but compared to Dolph Lundgren was the Punisher at one point,
Right. Yes, he was. Unfortunately.
Don't talk shit about Dolph Lundgren as a Punisher. Just say
Okay.
it.
All right.
All
All right.
All right, well, all right. How about this? David Hasselhoff was Nick Fury.
Yes,
at one
he
point.
was. Unfortunately. Oof.
It was his better days, though. I mean, he's definitely fallen from the stars
but,
a little bit.
Nick Fury, like maybe
Who would you rather have seen as Nick Fury back in the day?
Oh, back then? Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that. All
Oh,
right,
maybe
well,
like a Clint
so
Eastwood?
instead of Hasselhoff, we're
Yeah.
talking about who,
Yeah.
like, oh,
or
man.
Charles Bronson, or I don't know.
Ooh.
I could see, I could see something like that.
Or Chuck Norris.
Marlon
Yeah,
Brando?
Yeah.
Fat Marlon Brando. Okay, I mean it's a different direction. It's a different direction, but I mean there was a lot of there's a lot of bad comic book stuff
Yeah.
when we were
Yeah.
growing up. There's
Yeah.
there was a Fantastic Four movie that
Yeah.
Roger
Oh.
Corman made, which actually isn't not that bad.
It's really not that bad. In
Once-
fact, I think it either just came out or it's about to come out. The documentary on it called Doom.
Oh yeah, I want to see
I
this.
really want to see it too, and it's all about how they were trying to get this movie off the ground, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
Poor Roger Corman.
Yeah, yeah. And there was a 1994 Captain America movie that
Yeah.
was little seen was
Yeah,
awful.
remember that one?
Yep, with the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. I'm getting weird memories now.
yeah, there's stuff like that.
You're right though. The culture's always been trying to break through and be something, and we just are lucky to live in a world now where it's totally social acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why I brought up the Disney machine, because I think, in my opinion, a lot of the quality
Oh,
is
yeah, they're-
because of the Disney
They-
finances put behind this program.
Yeah, they should not be messing anything up. Not only they have the budget, they have the prestige where they
Yep.
can get any writer, any director, they can get any creative team
Totally.
they want to make it the best possible product.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to have them aboard.
Yeah, agreed.
Me
And-
too.
and-
Especially since they've obviously been doing a good job. So
Yeah,
it's
and,
like-
and they're coming with cool merchandise.
Yes.
I mean, back in the day, the whole point of the movie was to sell toys.
To sell toys.
Yeah.
and stuff. And now, thank God they're focusing on story and creation. The
Yeah.
toys will come. The toys will. You always,
Yeah.
Always
you
gonna
make
have
something good,
toys,
like
yeah.
take Star Wars for example.
Yeah.
You make something good. The toys will sell themselves.
Totally.
But I guess as kids, like, it was an action figure world, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was always like you always wanted to go to KB Toys to get like the next character.
I mean,
next
speaking
Ninja
again-
Turtle
Right,
toy.
exactly. And I was
Yeah.
going to say, speaking again from an '80s kid standpoint, I mean that's how they marketed our consumption of media. You know,
Yeah.
all cartoons, a lot of cartoons were put out by Mattel and Hasbro because they were like Transformers and GI Joe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were all created in cartoons to push toys.
Yeah, they found a
Like-
loophole. It was great.
Yeah.
It was like the dumbest, biggest loophole in the
It
world.
worked.
Like, yeah.
Even comic books, the first and greatest ever huge team crossover event, Secret Wars from the '80s, was created specifically to push toys.
Yeah.
They didn't even
Wow.
care about writing a story, and the story's fine, but it wasn't even about that. It was about let's see how many units of actual action figures we can sell.
how many Secret Wars
And
toys can we
Yeah.
sell?
It doesn't seem to be that way anymore, right? I mean, there's definitely
No.
like an action figure world, but I feel like you don't.
It's much more
You don't
of
see
a-
as many KB toys in the
Right.
mall anymore with
Right.
the Voltron toys up front.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
much more. It's much more of a collectible kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, where they're making statuettes and they're
Yeah.
making the better side of toys.
Yeah,
like,
they're
which
all
is
geared
cool.
toward us now.
Which
where,
is awesome.
People with salaries
Yes.
who can afford like the $400 hot toys.
Right, right.
like-
And they look awesome. Shout out to Paul Harding, by the way.
Oh,
He
yes.
Yes,
makes,
our friend
like-
Paul Harding,
yes.
who sculpts most of the
These
most of
amazing
this
toys we
stuff,
talk
yeah.
about.
And he'll eventually be on this podcast.
Yes,
too,
we will.
'cause what an amazing artist he is. Holy crap. He
Yeah.
makes some cool stuff. I love following him on Instagram, seeing
Yeah.
like the next 3D design he's coming up with.
You talked a little bit about Comic Book Men, obviously, and I believe we're going to be airing this episode when you guys are coming back in
Oh, cool.
mid-February.
Yes.
And really excited for the second half of the season. Is there anything you can tell us about what we can expect coming up? Any guests you're excited
Just more
about?
hilarity. There've been a couple guests revealed. Ralph Macchio from
Yeah.
the Karate
Oh,
Kid.
cool.
Can't
Talking
wait to
about
see
the
that
80s.
episode. Yeah.
That was pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
I think I don't know when you guys were born. I'm sitting in a theater with my dad and brother in 1984, watching this little Italian kid from New Jersey get bullied by these California white boys, and I'm like, well, how is he going to get out of this? Like, I knew, I felt for him. I knew what it like. I wasn't like beat up or anything,
Right.
but I got teased and
Oh,
for
yeah.
being small or whatever. So you always want to see the underdog win, and
Totally.
then
Yeah.
and then he teams up with this little old Asian man. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is great. And then they do karate and like wax on, wax off, crane technique.
That's so cool.
It's so great. And I was just thinking today on the drive up how 33 years later,
Yeah.
it might even be bigger now than it was then.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the side of martial arts, because I mean there was a huge boom because it was coming off of the 70s when Bruce Lee
Right.
came and
Yep.
did and made everybody go, oh wow, I want to take martial arts, and then like you said, this scrawny kid from Jersey
Yeah.
does a crane kick to the face, to this dude from California, and
Right.
every single child in America says to their parents, "I want to take karate
Yeah, I wanna
right
take
now."
karate.
Like so.
Sweep the leg.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's that kind of boon, but you're right. Like from the aesthetic of the movie and that kind of,
Yeah.
I think it's as big or bigger than it was when it came out in the 80s.
Yeah,
100%.
and I was just at a con where Ralph Macchio was there, Martin Kove, who played Sensei Kreese, was there.
Awesome.
And Billy Zabka who played Johnny,
Yeah.
all in the same room.
Oh my God.
And I'm looking, I'm like right across from them. I'm like, God, my life is it's cool. It's weird.
It's so weird.
It's cool. Sitting in a theater, did I think I'd ever even see those guys in the same room?
That's
you
crazy.
Know, and they haven't changed that much.
Right.
I mean, Sensei Kreese looked like he could still he can still punch
He's
you in
still
the face.
jacked. Yeah. Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. So it's
That's great, though. And so Ralph's going to be
Ralph
on
Macchio,
this season. That's exciting.
Yeah, one that I got really excited about, Katrina Law, who was
Excellent.
Miss Al Ghul from Arrow.
Yeah.
She's in the new Training Day on CBS in a couple weeks.
Cool.
She was on Spartacus.
Yep.
Saw a lot of her in Spartacus. If
Yeah.
you're a fan of the show.
Now
But,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I was
Yeah.
lost up until you said Spartacus and a lot of her.
yeah. She's totally cool. We met at a con, oddly enough, and I was like, wow, she would be great on the show. I mean,
That's
not only
awesome.
is she photogenic, she's just a cool person.
Yeah.
Just a cool person.
That's
and,
so cool.
She knows a lot about Batman and Ra's al Ghul and her backstory from Arrow, and we kind of tied it into all that.
That's excellent.
That's awesome.
I
That's
just kind of
excellent.
suggested it, offhand. Actually, it was Brian Johnson who suggested it, but I kind of pushed for it, and that sometimes things just work out and it happens. So
That's so cool. So that's going to be premiering, I believe,
February 12th. Yeah,
right?
when Walking Dead
nice.
comes back.
Yep, right after the second half of the season of Walking Dead, and we can't wait for that to come out. Is there anything coming up that you want to plug? That any appearances that you're going to be doing in the next month or so?
Just a lot of cons. I'm trying to think of if there's anything around here. I just saw there was a con in Hudson Valley, I think in May.
Yep, there's one in May. Yeah.
That it's a second year show. It's small, but I'm thinking I'd love to go up there. I
Yeah.
love supporting the conventions around here.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. Like I've said earlier, please follow Ming Chen on all the different social media because
I'm not hard to find.
You're not hard to find, and that will definitely let you know where he's going to appear next because you are always on the road. You're always doing awesome stuff.
I know. I love that Death Wish has hopped in the convention circuit as well.
You know,
I think it's great.
one of the first things when I started working with the company as a consultant, I actually was consulting them towards this industry because I'm such a fan of the industry, and I always was kind of putting in Death Wish's ear, it's a match made in heaven, coffee and comics. Everybody who
sure.
loves this culture needs coffee in their life. So
we geeks don't sleep a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So
And even the writers and the artists and everybody is like, yeah, I have late nights. You guys, the fact that you guys are here is perfect. And I think all of us hearing that over and over again, it was like, yeah, we gotta do the con thing for sure.
So
Yeah,
hopefully
it's
this
working
year,
out.
Death Wish is going to do a con or two. I think we're already trying to work on coming back to New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
I can see it up on the
in
the
in
roster
October,
there.
but hopefully we might do another appearance or two.
Yeah,
down the road.
I think it's great. I think it's easy. Always trying to spread the gospel as well. I'm a huge fan of Death Wish. Probably for about a year and a half now.
Awesome.
How'd you originally hear about Death Wish?
I heard the words "World's Strongest Coffee." I met a mutual friend of ours, Herb DW,
Yep.
from the formerly Fanboys Incorporated
Yeah,
network,
right.
who told me about it. Saw the Super Bowl commercial, and I've been a lifelong fan of coffee. So
Yes.
you make a bold claim like "World's Strongest Coffee." I gotta hop in on this.
Gotta give
And
that a
not
shot.
only is it the world's strongest coffee, it's amazing flavor wise.
yeah,
It's great.
and it's a clean high.
It is.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
a clean and legal high.
Yes,
So,
it sure is.
I'm always trying to spread the gospel.
Awesome.
So,
And we love you for it, man.
Yeah, we
Seriously.
really do.
It helps us out, and seeing you at the Walker Stalker convention, having all the Walking Dead people with our stuff. That was amazing.
That's
man.
tying it into death and Walking Dead. People
right?
die all the time, but they're all caffeine fiends.
Oh, I'm
all these
sure.
actors.
Because they're all hardworking. They're all
Yeah.
out there doing their thing and then going to all these conventions. And, it's like they all work really hard.
So the green room's kind of a central meeting area.
Yeah.
So my friend Monique is
Yep.
a subscriber, of the
Oh,
Death
yeah.
Wish,
Yeah, we love
delivery
Monique.
program.
Nice.
And we're like, well, why don't we see if they'll send some K-cups up?
Heck
why
yeah.
not? They sent up. I think you guys sent up like 60 to one convention.
We tried to give you as much as we could. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was gone by. It was a 2-day convention, Saturday, Sunday. By midday Sunday, it was gone.
Awesome.
So,
Nice.
all the actors were like, "What's this?
That's
Strongest
awesome.
coffee. Want to try some?" I'm like, yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
I feel like that's how we've made it this far to begin with, is sneaking in that green room with
Yup.
with the coffee and
Hey, kid, you want some coffee?
driving around with a truck inviting people in.
We try, you
Yeah.
know. We try to fuel. That's the other thing is Death Wish Coffee is about fueling people's passion. You know, it's not just with caffeine, but it's what do you like to do? Like, well, maybe we like to do that too, and
we'll help you do it
and We'll help
faster.
you do it faster and more caffeinated.
Yeah, and what I love is that everyone drinks coffee, but I don't think everyone appreciates coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty obvious by the people who drink. They'll go to. I won't name the mass
Right.
market places, but
Right.
they're awful.
Right.
Yeah.
They're awful. It's you want to find the places that care,
Yes.
put the time in and make an amazing product, and that reflects in the flavor and that's what Death Wish has been doing.
Heck yeah.
And you guys are just cool.
Thank you. Thank
I mean,
you.
when
That
it
means a
all
lot.
boils down to it, most companies don't take the time to be cool. They just
Yeah.
want to make money, and
It's
if
true.
you're cool, the money will come.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, we strive to be cool, but thanks for thinking that we are there, Ming.
Oh yeah, by far.
That's pretty great. Once again, thank you so much for coming up
God,
to
you're welcome.
Death Wish HQ and recording this podcast with us. We love the crap out of you, and
Likewise.
we got to come down and visit you down in Red Bank.
Yeah,
one of
I'd
these
love to
days.
take
You,
this
gu-
on
you
the
guys
road.
are welcome. You guys are welcome to come podcast at the store if you want to.
That'd be wonderful.
That'd be amazing.
Always come down. Yeah, you got doors always open for you guys.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Well, thanks again, and everybody remember AMC's Comic Book Men, February 12th, right after The Walking Dead.